Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me so far. Good day, Aid. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, there's always tomorrow, isn't there? Yeah, just started. Hello, Steve. How you doing, mate? Hot and humid over there. Oh, that sounds good, actually, at the moment. Pretty cold over here at the moment, but actually today's shaping up quite nice. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a very sunny day, not as cold as the last few days. So it's looking pretty good. Hopefully you have a good weekend. Everyone else will be heading into the weekend, I guess. I hope you all have a good one. Have some good plans. Enjoy the sun. Mm. Yeah, enjoy it. Some people are cold. Mm. Yeah. So today's topic. I mean, we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. If you have any questions, just fire away. It's all good. But on the list, I've got building muscle and things like that after age as well. As we get older, it does get more difficult. But also after recovering from like physical trauma, chemotherapy, cancer, but it can be other forms of physical trauma as well. If you've been laid up in bed for a long time, it takes a bit to sort of come back from that as well. And we'll talk about everything to do with that, building muscle and getting stronger again, moving, including fasting. I'm doing fasting at the moment. Let me see, I haven't eaten since Thursday. It's now Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. I haven't eaten since Thursday night, 7 o'clock. So yeah. Yeah, they can be a little traumatizing, can't they, mate? Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they're mentally traumatized, those people. So we'll talk about all things, just trying to get yourself back into things as well. Like after coming back from some sort of physical trauma, it can be very difficult, and you have to be very patient. That I think is one of the hardest parts, is being patient. Your body has to go through a lot of healing, and as we get older as well, it does get more difficult to put on muscle because the body actually can't absorb as much dietary protein into muscle protein as you get older. So you have to actually eat more protein as you get older because of that. So there are sort of limiting factors that are part of the problem, I guess. And they don't always do what I want. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Cattle and sheep. I don't envy that. Although I do envy being out on the land. That's a great way to live. But taking care of the cattle and sheep, herding them, yeah, they can be a pain. And sheep especially, I think they wander all over the place. But you see that. So we'll have a look at like I said, we can talk about anything. Oh, g'day, Jay. Good to see you, mate. As I said, we can talk about anything you want to talk about. So if you have any questions, just feel free to fire away. And we'll talk about recovering, basically, and how I did it anyway, and what I think are the contributing factors as well. Like after chemotherapy, your body is going through a lot of trauma. Okay, so basically, for me, especially after the transplant, this is about the 3-year mark of chemotherapy. My bones were very brittle, very weak. My joints were very, very stiff as well. So any kind of movement felt like they were going to break, and a few of them did. it was about, really trying to be as patient as possible. Even small move, like at first I couldn't even hold a cup properly. The muscles are so tight. So it's really about healing first before you start thinking about putting on a muscle and things like that. But the thing is, you can do it still. And this is what. Oh, hello, Kerry. Good to see you. This is it's not just. This is actually a message for everyone going to carnivore or just going through any kind of healing process. If you're going from a standard Western diet and you want to start building muscle and you want to lose fat and everything else, it all takes time for your body to heal first. I think that period there can be very frustrating for many people. You really have to allow your body time to heal before you start thinking about the waistline and how much stronger you're going to get in the gym and things like that. So I think that's always sort of key to remember, is that just give your body time, because it will happen. You just have to have faith in the fact that what you are doing is the right thing, and I mean, you will feel that. You will learn to trust your own intuition as well as you go. So that's a big help. So whether you, I mean, for my mind, when it comes down to diet, everyone listening here obviously knows that I'm on a carnivore diet, and a high fat, I think, even ketogenic sort of diet is absolute necessity when you're talking about healing the body, especially high fats. And of course, clean, get rid of all the seed oils, get rid of all the sugars and processed foods. That sort of goes without saying. But even after you do all that, when I'm talking about getting your strength back and building up muscle again, I'm not talking about, although you can, I mean, people do it. I'm not a bodybuilder, and I've never been a bodybuilder. There have been times where I've had excessive amounts of body muscle on my frame. But hello, Josephine. Hello, everyone. It is, I mean, for my mind, movement is more important than size. And, strength, you can be strong and small as well. So it depends on what your goals are as well. These are all things that you sort of need to sort out for yourself as well. Yes, you have to have a diet, free of seed oils, sugars, carbs, processed products, chemicals, and oxalates. Yeah, I agree. That's an absolute must. And now, even with all that, it's still going to take time. Like, it doesn't matter how great you eat, how much, how clean your diet is. There's also, I mean, there's other things involved as well. You have to make sure that you get sleep. You have to make sure that you, I think, is also necessary. Like, apart from food, you also get energy from sunlight, and sunlight also helps you to get leaner. It also helps you to move fats. Okay, so it's really important for your hormone production. It's very important to help heal your lymphatic system, because that sunlight, it gives you that vitamin D hormone reaction. Your liver starts producing more cholesterol and more D3 hormone, which is not just vital for your immune system, but it's also very good for weight loss. Okay, because it helps you produce more hormones that actually get your body in key, get everything into a homeostasis sort of feeling. I think this is back in the day, back in the 70s and early 80s, and that, bodybuilders, one of the healthiest things they did actually was sunbake, okay, because they always wanted to get that tan for when they to show that definition in muscle. Nowadays, they just use, a lot of them just use that fake tan sort of stuff they wipe on themselves, which is, I don't think is very healthy at all. But that's just me. But when it comes to when you are healing and you are starting to move, or you're moving again, or if you don't really have that problem, building muscle is still quite difficult after you hit a certain age, and even after mid-30s, it starts getting a little more difficult. But you can do it, and depending on what your goals are as to how you're going to train. I think for the most part, I've always adhered to like a sport specific sort of training. Okay, so if you have, for me, I think like an athlete's body is always shaped by the sport that they do. They're not muscly because or they don't sort of train in the gym to get muscly. They're just training their sport to get the muscle they need for their sport to be functional in their sport. So like swimmers always have that big V taper, like skinny legs and wide shoulders and very big shoulders and lats. Okay, so they got that V taper on their back. Sprinters, like 100-meter sprinters, for example, they have really thick legs, usually, and they're, these people all have genetic sort of, let me see, advantages as well. Like when I was young, when I was in my teens and 20s, and like I did lots of different sports. I did a lot of martial arts. I did triathlon and other things as well. But I was always into swimming as well. But I'm quite sure. So the thing you'll notice, like if all the very successful swimmers, okay, they're all very, very tall people, like well over 6 foot, all the best swimmers in the world. So they have a genetic advantage because of their height. Okay, so not just, with that height comes a lot of strength as well. But someone half their size is going to have to swim twice as fast. So I always find when people tell me, like for example, they tell me that because gymnastics is so hard on the body that all the best gymnasts are quite short. That's not true. What's happening there is that they are just genetically advantaged to have a genetic they have a genetic advantage to that sport, and they sort of are attracted to that sport. So they do better than a tall person. A tall person is not very good in gymnastics because you require a lot of very strong calisthenic sort of exercises that it'd be like, for example, it'd be very, very difficult for someone like an ectomorph, like Rick from Charging Mopo, like a very tall, skinny person, to do things like planches and do work on the rings and things like that, because they just don't have the structure to do that. So for me, it's always been, I think the best way to do it is to pick a sport that you are passionate about or you like doing and stick to that sort of training style. So I'm just going to comment here. I wanted to do boxing, but someone said I would have to get in a ring. No. I'm good. Yeah, you don't have to really. If you boxing is good for exercise, though. It's a good sport for just to keep fit. No rain. That's good. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it. So that's, I think it's also motivating too. And I think a lot of the fact is when people losing muscle too, is as we get older, it's kind of one of my things is that you're only as old as you feel, sort of thing. It's the same thing. As you get older, you tend to get less active because you also, you have more things going on in your life as well, usually as well. But I think it's not just a genetic thing. It's just you use it or you lose it, and it doesn't matter what age you are at. Okay. Yes, there are contributing factors as you get older, but you can make up for that with diet and with the proper exercise as well. And it can be very motivating. If you pick a sport, for example, it can be very motivating, especially like if you have a team sport or something. I've never been into teams myself, but a lot of people are. The only sport I was ever any good at was soccer. Oh, that's a good sport. I played with the boys. Cool. Yeah, soccer is a great sport. For just for fitness. A lot of running, a lot of sprinting. This is one thing I never sort of understood with when I was a coach. When I was coaching, okay, you'd always come across these other coaches that would like these team sports, like basketballers, for example, or soccer players, and they'd always take them out on a long, steady state run. It's crazy. Like, you do not build fitness for a short sprint game, which is what basketball and soccer is. They sprint, maybe the most they sprint is maybe 10 meters at a time. A soccer player maybe a bit more, maybe 30, 50, even 100 meters, maybe a bit more at a time, and then they rest, and then they stop, and then they rest, and then they sprint, and then they do all this sort of stuff. So why take them on a 10-kilometer run? It seems nuts to me. Sprinting is much more beneficial to a sport like that. So I think you should always train for the sport that you are most interested in. Okay. And for a lot of people that is bodybuilding and things like that. So, but you can get bodybuilding advice anywhere. But my point is today is that you can still do it after trauma and after a certain age as well. But some of the limiting factors, like I said, was absorbing the proteins, and this is another thing that people don't understand as well. It's not just a matter of your macronutrients. It's not just a matter of protein. Not all protein is the same. Like, I'm sure most people agree with me here that plant protein is not going to do it. It's just not going to do anything for you. Nothing positive anyway. It'll do a lot of negatives. But it's not that we absorb protein, it's that we absorb the amino acids. Okay. And like those, if you break it down into the micronutrients, those are the things that we actually absorb. Okay. And one of the most prevalent, throughout the body, the most important amino acid or one of the most important proteins in our body is collagen. Okay. So this was vitally important for me. After chemotherapy, the bones were so brittle and dry and just really fragile. And of course, all my joints and muscles. But it's then, of course, you have other problems such as the absorption rate. Okay, so actually absorbing those amino acids and proteins into my body, that was difficult as well because my lymphatic system wasn't working properly. All my hormone production was all mixed up and broken, and just it was a mess. And it wasn't until I actually got it took years for this to actually come good. And I think that the biggest factor there was the fats, because the fats actually help. All the vitamins and nutrients in the fat actually help you to absorb the proteins as well. Okay, so you can't have one without the other. Now, unfortunately, like most of my life was like that. which is what led to my condition. So I think it's very, it's vitally important. It doesn't matter what age you are at or where you are coming from. If you are going through a healing process, you have to have those animal fats to absorb the proteins that you need for your body, especially collagen and everything else, and for your hormone production. Because it's, as I keep saying to people, it's so important to look after your lymphatic system. And this movement is also very important, because obviously taking in foods and things like that leads to, if you're not moving your lymph fluid, if you're not moving that lymphatic system, you get things like lipedema and lymphedema. Okay, so you get fluid buildup on your joints and your legs, and your ankles and feet. Okay, and it's very painful, if you're not moving. And that comes down to circulation as well. You need to circulate the lymph fluid just as much as you need to circulate your blood. So these are very important things. Yeah, real football is soccer. Yes, I agree. 2 meetups coming up. Oh yeah, Albury, 3rd and 4th of August, Regenerate Health Summit, and in Adelaide, November, with Dave Mack. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. And yet they put all our elderly on plant. Yeah, that's another thing. It's people don't understand that. They just think, okay, protein is protein, and they don't understand that at all. It's not about the macros, it's about the micronutrients. And a lot of these supplements that you buy, like protein shakes, most of them, in fact, are plant-based, or even the ones that are not plant-based, say whey and other things, they also have seed oils in them. So it's just as bad, or if not worse, really. So, oh wow, really? That's crazy. Yeah, you need a new butcher, Josephine. You should have said, look, you've got to pay that. You got to pay to have that taken away. I'm doing you a favor, Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's fucking outrageous. I agree. Yeah, it should be free. What are your thoughts on supplementing creatine for elderly people? I recently put my 101-year-old man on 5 milligram. Yeah, creatine is a really good. I mean, it tends to be overrated, okay, to a point, because people start overtaking it, okay, like taking too much, I should say. But creatine actually itself is a very good supplement, as long as you get something that's not sweetened, not enhanced by anything else, no flavorings or anything like that, just straight creatine is a very good supplement. Because as I said, as we get older, it gets more difficult for the body to absorb our proteins, okay, our amino acids and everything like that. It gets more difficult. So we have to have a higher intake than when we were younger. And especially like 101 years old, yeah, definitely, I wouldn't hesitate. Creatine is going to be very good. Yeah, well done, Karen. Very good. I think there might be more carnivores around my town. Oh, good. That's good to see. Oh, g'day, Mandy. Good to see you. Wow, 1:22 a.m. Oh, sorry to keep you up. I hope you're late night or early morning? Very early. I have a question. Someone gave me about 9 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. Is it okay for me to eat that as long as I add beef fat trimmings? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I avoid chicken now mostly because the chicken that you get here in Australia is all grain fed, soy fed, sort of So, and they always take the skin off, and it's not fatty enough. But yeah, if you can get a good clean chicken breast and like with the bone and the skin on, that's great. And yeah, add more fat to it. It's all good. Yeah, it's still very healthy. If you get a healthy chicken. Yeah, Mark Bell makes a meat-based shake. That's good. I think it's called. It's all made from organs and stuff like that. Yeah, I forget the name of it, but yeah, apparently it's pretty good. I haven't actually seen the ingredients, so I can't really say. I mean, but it does have flavorings and colorings and stuff like that. So again, depends on how clean you really want to go. Yeah, I'm not sure about the seed oil sort of situation for that though. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there are going to be limitations as we get older and as we heal from like physical trauma. Like I said, I think the biggest contributing factor or the biggest obstacle to get over is looking after your hormone production and your lymphatic system. Once that is taken care of, okay, which will take time, but you have to have a lot of animal fats in your diet, and that too needs building up. You don't just start eating like just animal fats and or go from transition from a normal diet onto carnivore and then just eat 80% fat. I think it's the same as your protein intake as well. Because of gluconeogenesis, if you eat too much protein to start with, okay, or at any point, that extra protein will be used the same way as carbohydrates. Okay, so it'll be turned into sugars, and you'll store it in your fats. Okay, so the thing is to do it over time. So you build up. It's like building up like a callus on your hand, sort of thing. It's your first day working on like a shovel, you'll have some blisters and things like that on your hand. But eventually you sort of build up calluses and you get tougher, and your body's the same. Like your kidneys grow, your liver grows, they all grow and shrink to accommodate or in reaction to how much protein you take. So I think it's a good idea to monitor your blood glucose levels. Okay, like I showed you a video recently. So start on your minimum like protein intake. Okay, so that will be say 1 gram per centimeter in height. Okay, it'd be your absolute minimum. Okay, or say 2 grams of protein per kilo. Okay, of your ideal weight, not the weight that you are, but your ideal weight. Okay, and then from there you can build it up. Okay, and just slowly and surely, like as you build up your exercises, as you start doing more activity, you want to increase that protein intake. Okay, and as I said, also as you get older, you also want to take in more protein because that absorption rate from dietary proteins to your muscle proteins is actually less efficient as you get older. Okay. But as I said, just build it up slowly and monitor your blood glucose. Thought on pasture pork fat versus beef versus lamb fats are suffering with fats, even yolks. Omega-6 could be omega-6s. You don't use dairy. I think the best. I mean, you really have to experiment with what you feel best on. Okay, so for my mind, I think you need a mix. Okay, to get the best hormone production and the most nutrients across the board, I like to mix it. So I always mix, like seafood is good, lamb, pork, beef, and whatever other animal you can get. It's always good to have a mix. Omega-3s are very important, I think. So it's really important to have some seafood, some fatty seafood, okay? And also lamb. Lamb is very good for omega-3s, okay? Very high in omega-3s. Lamb is probably the highest in omega-3s for a land animal, okay? So I always recommend lamb because it's very good, and it's also very fatty as well. So you don't have to worry about measuring macronutrients or anything like that, because lamb is just naturally a very fatty meat. So I always gravitate towards lamb. So I eat beef, maybe pork I'll eat maybe once a week, seafood and lamb I eat at least 3 times a week, to get some omega-3s and to get my fat intake up as well. So, but all very good. As I said, a mix is good, and you really need to work out what you feel best on. But again, don't forget to add other things to your lifestyle, like sunlight and grounding. It's not just about the food. Okay, Loretta. Loretta, what kind of meat are you eating? I want to avoid that too. That's a good question, Karen. Very good. Yeah. When I was a kid, I asked my grandfather what was hot dogs. Everything but the squeal. Very good. Yeah. Let's see. So that would be my advice: is to mix as many fats as you can get. I don't think you can really go too far wrong there. But again, some people react differently, so you really have to work on or test yourself exactly what you feel best on. I don't adhere to. I know a lot of people do this so-called lion diet, and they do just beef and salt and water. I don't think you get enough nutrients out of just beef. Okay, you really need omega-3s, and there are omega-3s in beef. And if you can afford a ribeye, maybe you feel pretty good because they are nice and fatty. But I really think you need a good mix of fats. And I take that from looking to people in the past, like Wilhelm Stephenson and others. People living in the Arctic. They ate a very wide range of fats. Okay, even land animals like polar bears, and they had seals and whale meat and fish and all sorts of different fats. And they had zero deficiencies. They didn't have any cancer problems or any diabetes problems or anything really. Their teeth were great. They were big, strong, fit, and healthy. So I think that's a very good indication that a good range of fats is very good for you and very healthy for your body anyway. Yeah, Ed is someone who was actually living in the Arctic. I was living out in Norway. We ate seal, whale, reindeer. Yeah, reindeer is another popular dish, isn't it? Pork, moose, beef, and lots of fish. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be great to have such variety, very limited on variety here in Australia, but at the moment, unfortunately. So, depending on where you are, I guess, too. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing when it comes to building muscle and getting stronger after a certain age and after a physical trauma. I think the next most important thing is going to be patience. It does take time. Like as I said, like after my transplant, for example, I mean, not everyone goes through 3 years of heavy dose chemotherapy either. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. Okay. Um, but you still have to give your body time. And it doesn't matter where you are. There are going to be, there's always going to be something that is going to limit us in some way. Right? But you can work around it. But it took me, I think total after the transplant, it took me about 5 years before I went back to the gym. Okay. Because it took me almost 3 just to start walking again. But I was doing some exercises with bands, and I was doing some breathing exercises, and these are things that help get moving as well. But it really did take a long time, and to be patient through that time is very difficult. I know it's very difficult for anyone to be bedridden and to be, and if you have, say, if you're obese and you feel like you can't move, like you're stuck in a chair or something like that, you can still do something. Like I said before, there are exercises that, like circulation exercises, you can do, even if, I mean, even in a chair, you can still get that lymph fluid moving, which will help with problems like lipedema and lymphedema, because it's so important. I think there's always something you can do, but the thing is, it also comes down to when you want to build muscle and build strength, it also comes down to the intensity of your workouts. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you have to compete with everyone else in the gym. Okay. It just means that the intensity level for your body, for your condition at that time. Okay. So if you are just starting in the gym, it's not a good idea to just go as hard as you can. Okay. This is also something needs to build up. The same as your dietary intake, like your protein intake and fat intake, you need to build up over time. The first thing you should be working on, I think, is, and it's always been like this for me, is build the foundations first. So work on your joints, strengthen your joints first before you even start to think about heavy lifts, okay, or intensity or anything else like that. So this is when you first start in the gym, for example, and I say gym because most people, when they first start exercising, telling them to just do body weight exercises is unrealistic, because most people can't lift their body weight. You know, I couldn't lift my body weight when I went back to the gym. I couldn't lift my body weight. I couldn't do push-ups. I couldn't even do a squat. Okay, not even just a body weight squat. Okay, so these are things that I think that when you first start, it's a good idea to use pin weights, like machines, because they take away a lot of the the imbalances. Okay, the sort of when you are using a bar and things like that, you have to use a lot of other muscles to balance and everything like that as well. So it can be very difficult. You can do a lot of these exercises at home if you know what you're doing. Okay, so joint exercises are really good to do at home, and very simple too. You can do these, which I will be explaining a bit more in videos to come. But I think it's really important when you first start just to be patient. And I know it's very difficult to be patient, especially when you start in a gym. You get motivated and you want to go as hard as you can. but I think you need to work on your joints first, build that foundation. And then once you build up to a reasonable level where you feel like your joints are safe and you have a routine, then you need to start thinking about intensity, and that's when you sort of need to work on the sort of goals that you have in mind. Do you want to be a bodybuilder, for example? Do you want to have big muscles, and or do you want to do something more movement based like calisthenics? Kind of a poppy. Started chemo for B cell lymphoma on 6 to 19, being mostly carnivore since 1st January. That's good. When I am strict, I tend to dehydrate. Any suggestions? Can't do. Yeah. Okay. You got a number of things going on there. It's very difficult when you're going through chemotherapy. You don't want those drugs in there any longer than they have to be. Okay. You want to flush that out as fast as you can. So for me, I drank a lot of water, more than I would now. But I really drank a lot of water. The problem is that with the water that we have today, it is full of chemicals, very high in deuterium. Yeah. There are a few options you can do about that, though. So you can get deuterium depleted water, but that is very, very expensive. Okay. I mean, it really costs an arm and a leg. It's ridiculously overpriced stuff. You can get a water filter system, and the best kind of water filter you can get, I would say, would be a reverse osmosis water system. And they also come with a remineralizer if you want to pay a bit extra. But for me, I always filter my water anyway. I also boiled it before I cooled it, but then I always remineralize it with a very good mineral salt. Okay. If you're having trouble rehydrating or hydrating, I would say that you're probably low in salt. Okay, because you need electrolytes. Everything that's coming out of your body, especially when you and even though it's kind of contradictory to say, okay, you need to drink a lot of water, but that also flushes out your electrolytes. Okay, so when your body dumps any kind of fluids, okay, all the electrolytes go with it. Okay, so you're probably going to want to increase your salt intake, or you can take an electrolyte supplement. Okay, I know many people do recommend LMNT, I think it is, but I've never supplemented electrolytes. I've never needed it. As I said, I eat a lot of salt. Okay, so don't be afraid to add a lot of salt to your food if you can keep it down. But if you can't, just add it to your water. Okay, you really need it. So I hope that helps anyway. It also helps with mouth sores. If you go through chemotherapy, if you get mouth ulcers like I did, I had a lot of mouth ulcers. Salt water is really, really good. Okay, helps keep it clean. All right. David, if you could tell yourself back when you started, what advice would you give yourself? Good question, Josephine. Eat a lot of fat. That would be the first thing I would tell myself. Okay. I was always very fat phobic before I was diagnosed, so for many, many years. And even after the first diagnosis, and going through the first 2 years of chemotherapy, I was still kind of fat phobic, and it sort of took time after that So I think that would be the first bit of advice. The next bit would be that I can manage it, that I can get through it, and that what all these people around me are telling me that it can't be done, that there's nothing I can do about it, that I will be stuck with this. This is the best it's ever gonna be. I would tell myself that's completely wrong. That not that they lied to me, but they just had no idea and no clue really. So that's what I would tell myself. Yeah. And then I'd sort of talk about the sunlight and fasting and grounding and things like that as well. So yeah, that's what I would be doing. Mhm. But mindset wise and dietary wise, fats and trust. Don't trust what they tell you. Don't believe in what they tell you so much, and trust in your own abilities as well. That's what I'd be doing. Lipedema has to do with a bad ratio of omega-6 and 3 added. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's it all comes down to hormone production. This is so important. I tell people to get a good mix of fats for your lymphatic system because that's what it's designed to absorb and to move. Okay, it's so important. Your lymphatic system is so important to your hormone production. Okay. Okay. Yeah, deficiency in arginine. Fixed my husband's in after. Oh, that's well done. 2.5 weeks, 51 pounds in 3 weeks. Awesome. That's awesome, Carrie. You've done such a great job. No, I can't. I would like to get that strong. Must be another conversation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good question, Carrie. Take electrolytes or a good salt will help. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to check through some of these comments first, and we'll keep going. I am fasting actually at the moment. Let me see. I was saying. So it's been actually. I haven't had a drink of water. I had one drink of water this morning. So this is referring to hydration as well. When you are fighting cancer, one of the things that you should be concerned about is deuterium. Okay, and a lot of the deuterium that we get is actually from the water that we drink. Okay, now deuterium inside is a small molecule that goes inside our mitochondria, and it can block our Krebs cycle. Okay, and that's where you get a lot of damage in your mitochondria. So it's really important to have a low deuterium diet for anyone, but especially if you are going through cancer treatments. Okay. So like I said, you can get deuterium depleted water. Okay, but it is crazy expensive. Okay. And I just started my second glass of water now. But again, like all you can do all we can do from day to day is the best we can with what we have at the time, and that will be enough. You don't have to stress about it. I think whatever you can do, any little thing you can do is going to help. Okay, so it doesn't matter how you filter your water. Okay, I think you need to filter your water as much as you can. I think if you're not going through chemotherapy, then you should limit your water as much as you can because your body does produce water as well. Okay, So the water that we intake can actually, cause many other problems, hormones as well, because especially if you're drinking a lot of water around your meal time, you're not actually absorbing as much fat as you think you're eating, because it's just going to flush straight through you. Okay. And of course, the more water you drink, the more electrolytes you flush out of your system as well. So it can be detrimental to drink a lot of water. Okay, so if you're not going through chemotherapy, I think you should limit it as much as you can. That's not to say that don't drink it. Okay, you still need to hydrate yourself. But when you do hydrate, like I most often will have salt in my water for electrolytes, because I filter it a lot. So I need to remineralize the water, because a lot of the water we used to drink like 200-300 years ago used to have a lot of minerals in it. Now, very, very little. Plus, it has a whole heap of other chemicals. So you have to be careful about that. But going through chemotherapy, you want to get that stuff out of your body as fast as you can. But the key is to remineralize yourself. Okay, so and it's really difficult time to do that, because if you're on heavy dose, for example, you're vomiting a lot. You can't get things down. You don't feel like trying to take anything in. The thought of it can make you vomit. But the only thing I can really recommend is to have a lot of salt, especially in your water, so that you can remineralize yourself and rehydrate, because it is quite a tough time. That's a good question too, Carrie. Very good. Do you fast before chemo? If you're still there, Carnival Poppy. Yes. I do a 24-hour fast. Yeah, that's pretty good, Poppy. I think for me, I didn't actually fast beforehand. Now, some of the theory about fasting around chemo beforehand, what fasting is supposed to do, or they think it does, is that all your healthy cells, okay, all your healthy stem cells, I should say, actually go to sleep. So it's kind of they go dormant, so that when you go through your treatment, it actually protects those cells, those healthy cells, and which, for my mind, would help help you in recovery after treatment. Whether that's 100% accurate or not, I can't really say. But it does have a lot of other benefits as well. Fasting helps you produce, or stimulates the body to produce more stem cells. Okay, so I never fasted before treatment, but I did fast afterwards. Now, after each treatment, I fasted at least a week, because I just couldn't eat. I couldn't drink anything, or I was drinking a lot of water actually, but I couldn't keep anything down anyway. So I just didn't eat. And I think it also helped me to get rid of a lot of medications. They put me on quite a lot of medications, and after a while, I just couldn't take them anyway. Because this is another reason why we'll talk about supplements too in a minute, but this is another reason why going through chemotherapy, I didn't bother with supplements either, because I couldn't keep them down. If you're on, I know there's a lot of people out there saying, like, when they're on a very mild form of chemotherapy, for example, they have one treatment a week, like one bag of treatment a week, and it can be very mild on the body. They don't lose body hair or anything like that. But when you're on a heavy dose chemotherapy, like I was on 5 bags of treatment in one day. So that is very traumatizing to the body for a start. But afterwards, you can't keep anything down. The first couple of treatments weren't too bad. I could take all the pills and I could swallow, everything was fine, but it's cumulative. So as it went along, it just got worse and worse and worse. And so I couldn't take any, I couldn't even take the prescription drugs they gave me to try and help me recover. So taking supplements was just another group of chemicals that I just could not have in my body at the time. For me, it would be a complete waste because I would just throw it up anyway. But it's also just, like I said, just more chemicals. Okay, adding more chemicals to a chemical treatment is not the way to do it. This is why I keep saying, like, animal fats are the most important and by far the best supplement you can get for your body for hormone production, vitamins and nutrients, everything like that. That is absolute best. And I don't take supplements now either. Okay. So that's, for me, it's just, that's one of the things we don't, but we'll talk about that later anyway. Fasting. Fasting helps stimulate the body to produce more stem cells. Now, another thing you have to be wary of, and it doesn't matter if, like, my type of cancer has, there's no cure. So they say it's a recurring type of cancer that will always come back. And the more you treat it, or the heavier you treat it, the more aggressive it becomes. Okay. So it wasn't sort of much of an outlook for the future. But there are other problems with other types of cancer. And the reason why they monitor you for years afterwards is because when you go through chemotherapy, okay, you have, like, the cancer stem cells. The cancer stem cells themselves, okay, are not killed by the chemotherapy. Okay. What it basically does is it's like cutting the tree off at the ground level, okay, but all the roots are still there. Okay, so the stem cell itself is still there. It's all the roots for the tree. Okay, and and sometimes in years later it might grow back. Okay, if you are on the wrong diet, for example, if you go back to a standard Western diet after chemotherapy, then it's quite likely that it might come back because those stem cells, those cancer stem cells, are still there. So these are the things you need to sort of think about, okay, when you're going through chemotherapy and afterwards. That's why they monitor you for years afterwards. And like I said, the more stem cells that you have, your body is always producing stem cells. But the more you have, okay, the more chances you have of having a healthier outcome afterwards. And for me, like I said, I fasted afterwards. So I didn't, it was really only about 1 week out of 3 where I could manage to eat something. So it was really the first 2 weeks that I was kind of fasting a lot. So that last week, I ate as much as I could. Okay, I ate as much as I felt I could. Okay, and I think that really helped a lot because after my first set of treatments, my stem cell count, they had to collect my stem cells because I needed, later on, I would need a transplant. So I needed an autonomous transplant. And I didn't have any matching donors around me to collect theirs. So they did give me a supplement or a drug to help my body produce more stem cells, for one. I've always lifted heavy weights, for many, many years beforehand, and fasting. Now, these are 3 things that help your body stimulate the stem cell production. when they collected my stem cells, my viable stem cell count was 99.4%, which was the highest they've ever recorded, they've ever taken in this hospital. Okay. And I was still going through chemotherapy. So that was a big shock, They couldn't believe it either. Actually, the hospital staff and my oncologist could not believe that I had such a strong stem cell count. Now, I put that down to, obviously, yes, they did give me a drug, but their average, okay, for someone going through chemotherapy treatment, their average is between 3 and 5% viable stem cell count. Okay. And the average person, anything over 20% is pretty average. So they were quite surprised. So fasting, I think, is a very beneficial sort of thing to be doing while you're going through treatment, especially. And for any other health reason, for even just to be healthy, I think fasting is a great beneficial thing to do. And I'm not talking about doing a lot of long-term fast either. You don't have to do that. Good. Yeah, salt's really good. Yeah, sweet. Thanks. Okay, let's kind of catch up to some of these comments. Our sardines are good too. Is deuterium common in well water? I think that would have to determine where the well is and where it's coming from. You can test it, but I think that would be. I mean, PFAs are probably the biggest concern. Okay, and PFAs rampant in tap water, obviously, but it's also been found in rainwater. Okay. And so I imagine it would still be in well water as well, because the whole planet's just poisoned with this stuff. So I would still filter it. Even if it's well water, I would still filter it. I think doesn't matter how clean the water. Like my folks' place, they collect rainwater. Okay, but I still filter that as well. Okay, I think it's just, you can't avoid having to filter water at the moment around the world, unfortunately. Sardines in spring water, yeah, very good. Yeah, fish, tin fish even. If you can get a good, you can get it cheap. You can get tin fish in spring water, with bone and skin. All very good. So yeah, good idea. Actually, Carnival Poppy, I have an interview with Professor Seafried on my channel. It's worth checking out. He's very good. Very, very good. Oh, hello, Sandra. Good to see you. Try and catch up. With all these comments. Uja, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. If anyone wants to jump in today and weigh in on some of this, you're more than welcome. Just let me know and I'll send you the link. Let's see. Is there a question there? Let's see. This guy studies. Yeah, in studies in Russia with radiation on rats, fasting prior, they all lived. Yeah, fasting during 75% lived, fasting after 50% lived, and no fasting, all rats died. Oh, good information, Carrie. Thank you. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I think I would. That's one thing I would do differently. I think I would have fasted beforehand. But as I said, I had a very strong stem cell count as well, so I was. I guess I was lucky. Yeah. But yeah, some form of fasting, whether you do it before or after, is going to be beneficial either way. So I think also it's a very personal thing. You're going to have to work out what works best for you. So like after a couple of weeks of fasting, after treatment, I had and for a long time after treatment, I had a starvation paranoia. Okay. I was really, some points there, I was absolutely starving, especially after my transplant. I had a very large ulcer in my stomach and I couldn't eat. And for 3 weeks, I didn't eat anything at all. The only thing I had going in actually was fluids from a drip. So I had kind of a paranoia to starvation afterwards because I felt like I was going to starve to death. Yeah. So it was yeah, a bit of a rough time. By day 2, 3/4, I start to get shaky. Okay. Yeah. Some people do priming. Okay, what they call priming or loading. It doesn't matter which. Same thing. Um, they so like for a week, 2 weeks, or even a month, they might like just eat like it's their job, like just overeat and overeat and overeat, and then they fast for like a long period. I don't do that. I just eat my regular diet, and when I get to a point where I just don't feel like eating, I'll do a fast. Okay. Um, Now you don't. Okay, if you're getting shaky, I would say you're probably low on electrolytes. One of the things about fasting, okay, is even if you are still drinking water, you probably find that you're drinking less water. But even then, your your body is using a lot of electrolytes through a fasting period. So you may want to increase your electrolyte intake. Okay, um, just add a bit more salt to your water, like I have now. I've got a salt water I'm drinking right now. This is my second. It's only my second glass for the day, but it's a salt water. Okay, um, I think you can prolong your fast a little bit easier. You can get, it will make it a little bit easier if you have electrolytes. Some people will supplement, that's fine too. Another thing you can do is like some people will have it like a spoonful of fat while they're fasting. It won't really break the fast, but like it will sustain you and satiate you for at least a few more hours, so to speak, or maybe longer, depending on who you are. So you can try it. There are a few things you can try to prolong a fast. Okay, so take in electrolytes or try, like a spoonful of butter, even. Okay, there's no harm in doing that. Okay, that's a good one, Carrie. Yeah, probably think about a short dry fast prior, 20, 32 hours. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, dry fast is something like 3 times, and I find dry fasting easier than yeah, yeah. That's a good advice there, Carrie. I would do that now. I would do at least, I mean, at least 24 hours before is good. I think, which you're already doing, Carnival Poppy. I think. So I think that's a good thing to practice and fast afterwards also. If you can, I mean, the longer you can do it, the better. But don't. This is something you need to work out for yourself. What works best for you, because don't watch someone who's doing very light chemo, for example, and you're doing heavy chemo and think it's going to be the same sort of thing. Okay. You need to work out how you feel as you go. Okay, so take it one day at a time. If you feel like you can fast, then fast. If you don't feel like you can do it, don't worry. Okay. Take in more electrolytes. That is paramount. You need to replace all those electrolytes that you're flushing out with the chemotherapy and everything else, all the other chemicals. Okay, because it's not just water that you're getting rid of, water or fluids and everything like that, and the chemotherapy. It's everything else in your body. So I would do that. Just work on how you feel. Replace your electrolytes to help you hydrate, and if you feel like you can fast, then fast. If not, then just do what you can. GP said I need vitamin D. Blood's very low. I live indoors. Well, that's not going to help. They sent prescription. I was shocked. It's full of fillers. Yes, this is why another reason why you don't take these supplements. I just bought my own clean vitamin D. Thoughts on D and K2 together as I fast most 20 hours. Okay. D3, for example, D3 and K2 are wonderful. Okay. But your best source are a mix of animal fats. Now, there are a few things going on when. Okay. Now, vitamin D3 is a hormone. Okay. It's produced in your cholesterol. Okay. So when you have low cholesterol, for example, you'll produce less D3. There'll be less D if you spend a lot of time inside, then there'll be less D3 in your blood. Okay, because as a hormone, it is actually stored in your body fat. It's a fat soluble vitamin. Okay, which means it's stored in your fat as well. That also means that your best source of vitamin D is animal fat, because it is a fat soluble vitamin. Okay, and so is K2. All right, you need each of them to absorb each of them. All right, they need to work together. Now, if you are obese, for example, your blood test, even if you have high cholesterol and you eat a lot of animal fats, as I said, it is a fat soluble vitamin, but that doesn't mean that it's in your blood system. All right, so even if you have high cholesterol and you eat a carnivore diet but you are obese, okay, you have a lot of body fat, your vitamin D intake will be in those fat stores. So if you get a blood test, sometimes it will show that your vitamin D levels are low. Okay, so even though you've taken a lot, the actual amount in your blood will be low because you're not getting enough sunlight. Okay, so these are the things that will, don't rely just on the blood test, because you may, even if you take in a lot of different animal fats and you're getting a lot of vitamin D, if you're storing that in your body fat and it's not reaching your blood system, okay, that's still going to read low on your blood test. Okay. As long as you take in a good healthy amount of fats, you're already getting a good mix of vitamin D and K2. But for your body to produce it in the cholesterol and take it from your fat stores into your cholesterol and into your bloodstream, you need sunlight. So you have to get sunlight. Even 10 minutes a day, it's not much. Just sit on the balcony, or even windows will filter a lot of the red light. So you really need to get outside. Okay, that is the best supplement you can get for your vitamin D3 hormone production and K2 absorption. Okay. I won't force it. No, don't force anything. Would doing something like just drinking beef broth for a few days. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think it would. I mean, okay, it's not going to. I mean, this is another good reason why you can test this yourself by monitoring your blood glucose levels. Okay, it's very easy. Just a little prick on the finger, and I did a video of this a few days last week, I think it was. Okay, just monitoring your blood glucose. That will monitor. Even if you are fasting, you can still take in things like bone broth, like you said. That will help sustain you. Okay, and sustain the fast. It's not gonna spike your insulin or your blood glucose levels. Okay, but it will help you sustain the fast. So why not? It's not going to be. I mean, it's not like taking like a heap of sugar and dumping it in. So you'll be good. Yeah, if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. You know, just the thing is to be listen to your body's intuition on how you are feeling. Okay, if it gets to the point where you start getting dizzy spells and you have to sit down and catch your breath, sort of thing, then okay, then you need to replace your electrolytes and maybe take something in like bone broth would be good. Yeah, and it's a good way to break a fast as well. So that's what I'll be doing. My doctor's been testing my vitamin D for 15 years or more. So it's second nature for me to just take it every day. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, these are habit forming. Okay, these are habits that we've picked up along the way. Like you spent the last 15 years listening to this doctor tell you that you have to take these supplements and all these other things. Okay, but that's why we're all here. We're all learning together. Yeah. Um, and don't be afraid to just see how you feel without it. See how you feel without taking the supplements. Increase your fat intake and get a bit more sunlight. Okay. If you can, do some grounding. Okay. Do some grounding with the sunlight. Okay. This is how we get most of our energy actually, because inside your mitochondria is a little electromagnetic sort of kind of battery, as it keeps spinning, and when we are grounding, we are getting electromagnetic energy from the planet, and we are getting energy from the sun, including red light therapy. A lot of people pay a lot of money to get red light therapy. They buy these red light therapy beds and think, well, they pay thousands and thousands of dollars. 10 minutes out in the sun will do the same thing. Okay, it's very cheap, costs nothing. It really helps with your hormone production. It's so important. It really is. There you go. That's interesting. Was on methylblasting chemo for RA years ago and couldn't go in some. Yeah. Okay. When you're going through chemotherapy, okay, you are very, very sensitive. Okay. Your skin, I was extremely sensitive. Like, honestly, like I could open the curtains in the living room and I would get sunburn. Okay. Like that's how sensitive I was. So this is not, I mean, if you are fine and healthy, you're on a carnival, get as much sunlight as you can. But if you're going through chemotherapy, do it in increments. Like say even 2 minutes, 3 minutes, okay, every couple of hours. That would be heaps. That would be enough. Okay. Every little bit, just a little bit at a time, 2-3 minutes, done. Don't stay in the sun until you burn. Okay. And you are, especially if you are going through, like I said, I mean, the different levels of chemotherapy are going to affect you differently. Okay. Like if you're on a very light, mild form of chemotherapy, some people are not affected that way at all. But if you're going through a heavy dose chemotherapy, like I said, even opening the curtains would, I'd get sunburn. So very, very minimal amount, just increments, like every couple of hours. I would say like do 1 or 2 minutes if you can. Okay. If you don't feel like it, if you don't feel like getting up off the bed, don't push yourself. Okay. All you can do is the best you can with how you feel at the time. So try, just take one day at a time, and you will work out for yourself exactly what makes you feel good. Okay. But if you can, I do recommend it. There you go. Calcified oil has a magnitude of better absorption. Hooja. Shaking could be electrolytes, or you might be getting hypoglycemic. Yes, blood sugar gets low. Yeah. Hence, I think you should check your blood glucose levels. Okay. If it's that, drink a little juice or sugar soda, and it goes away. Yeah, you could do that. There you go. Some more advice. I mean, I would stay away from the sugar myself. Like I said, just replace the electrolytes. Salt is very good. Another thing is exercise while you're fasting. Okay, your body produces glucose from when you exercise. Okay, so when your body will produce the energy it needs for the for the activity that you are doing. So, for example, I'm fasting at the moment, and each morning I get up, I do 10-minute HIIT session on the bike, and then I do a deep breathing exercises. And yesterday I did I did that, plus I went to the gym and I did a core exercise at home. And this morning I did the same. I won't be going to the gym today though, but this also elevates your blood glucose levels. Okay, so movement, will help you as well. So but you need to work out exactly how you feel, whether you can or not. I'm not saying if you're already feeling dizzy and don't want to, sort of, maybe you can't manage, don't start exercising. Okay, that's when you need to take something. You need to take some electrolytes in. If you want to use bone broth, that's fine too. It's all good. And like I said, you can also eat some fat. Fat is a really good idea to sustain you a bit, to sustain the fast a bit. But you can also raise your blood glucose by exercising. Okay, so before you start feeling bad, before you start feeling shaky and whatnot, try a bit of exercise. Okay. That's excellent. Last one. Mandy, let's have a look at this. Okay, Mandy, last 10 years inside. I completely lost life sadly. With trauma, never recovered. Wish I had gone back carnival before. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Mandy. I spent a lot of time inside as well, unfortunately. But we can heal now, and like I keep saying, people, don't ever give up on yourself, okay? Because you can do it. You can indeed do it. Okay. I believe everyone can do it. Okay. I mean, I've done it. And coming from where I came from, I'm pretty sure everyone else can do it too. Okay. I'm off meds. Excellent. Very good. For RA and osteo, very good. CKD improved. Now working on esomycin, destroyed my organs. Oh, yeah. I have diabetes, 70 kilos, 61 carnivore has served me very well. Yeah, that's good to hear, Sandra. Improving. One step at a time, it gets better and better, it really does. And like I said, the hormone production, the hormones are so important. The lymphatic system is so important to, getting your hormones back into shape. Yep. Yeah, best way, fatty meat and sunshine. So another good thing about getting these things from natural sources. Okay, so let's talk about supplements. Okay, there are some good supplements, and there are things out there now that I wouldn't actually class as supplements. I would class as like dietary enhancers. But a supplement is what actually replaces something that you're not getting from your diet. Okay. And unfortunately, in today's age, like we're not getting much minerals from our water anymore. So we need to think about remineralizing water, like I said before. But with other supplements, okay, the best source is always going to be natural sources. Okay, animal fats, I think, are the best supplement you can get. Also, the cheapest. But when it comes to manufactured supplements, you have to think about these supplements have whether they have the right amount of in the mix. Okay, now a lot of them supplements only have to have a very very trace amount to then be labeled as that supplement. So an iron supplement, for example, which is very popular for most people, especially women. They only have to have, or they don't even. A lot of them aren't even heme iron. They are plant-based iron. Okay, so most of them are like that. But if you can get a good heme-based iron supplement, they only then still only have to have a very, very, very trace amount for them to actually label it as an iron supplement and market it as that. Okay, so you're really not getting what you pay for. You don't know what the dose is in most cases. Even when they tell you on a label, like someone will say 1,000 IU of D3, for example. Whereas the dietary intake, like in the US, you can get pills that are 20,000. Okay. So how do you know how much you need to take in for your body? This is a big thing. These supplements they rely on, okay, the doctor will say recommend this amount, but honestly, like you really want to believe what your doctor tells you after everything that we've all gone through. They really just don't know what your body needs, unfortunately. But apart from that, supplements themselves, these not only do you not know the dose in these pills, they are manufactured supplements. Everything. These vitamins and minerals are all manufactured forms. They're not actually a natural form. Okay, they're a manufactured form. Okay, so again, is it the right currency for your body to absorb? Well, like D3, for example, is a fat soluble vitamin, so it needs to come in fat. Otherwise, you're just not going to absorb it. And most of our vitamins come that way. They either come from water, okay, so water from the meat, or they're either water soluble or fat soluble. Okay. When you do take these vitamins as well, they just get broken down in your stomach acid anyway. So that they don't make it to your digestive system for your lymphatic system to absorb. So, like when people tell you that vitamins are just expensive pee, that's basically what it is. They are expensive urine. Okay, they are a waste of money. You might absorb a very trace amount of what you're trying to get. Okay, so it's always best to get from natural sources. Always. Okay, so that's why I always say get a nice mix of animal fats. That can be seafood, land animal, any animals around you. Okay, anything that you have available is going to help. It's going to be much more beneficial for your hormone production, your lymphatic system, your endocrine system, and of course to get all that, once you get all that right, that's when you start putting on muscle and everything else that you might want later on as well. So it's very important. That's why I don't like I said, there's a difference between enhancers and supplements, and I don't take any supplements. But I will say right now, I haven't taken anything yet, but I am considering trying the cereal products, the stem enhanced ones, because it sounds very similar to the drug that they gave me when I was in hospital going through treatment that helped me produce more stem cells. So I'm going to let you know how that goes, because I will be having blood tests afterwards. So I'm going to take these cereal products for a month, and then I'm going to do a blood test, and we'll see how they might have affected me. Okay. And we'll see how things go. I'll see how I feel as well. It's not just about the blood test, it's also about how I feel on these products. So, but I'm not afraid of trying these products, or I'm not afraid of trying new products. And I'm certainly not afraid of trying like a good quality supplement if I needed it, and if it was going to do the job. But the thing is, most of them just don't. Okay. Yeah, there are good clean D3 supplements out there, but you just have to watch out for the ones that have, a lot of them have seed oils, and even, okay, this is the thing too. Okay, even if they're a good clean D3, that doesn't have seed oils, okay, like those, there's oil ones, the gel caps, okay, those gel caps, okay, those gels are actually made from vegetable gums, okay. Now, some of these vegetable gums that they use to make these gel caps, they actually use in labs to form and grow tumors, okay. They are carcinogenic. So this is another thing when you're taking all these different supplements. They're not just not working. A lot of them are very much detrimental and working against you, and they can actually make your health worse. Okay, so you have to be very, very careful about them, which is why I say get it from a natural source, and that way your body will produce the hormone itself, because it's the same as testosterone. Okay, if you D3 in particular is the same as testosterone. Okay, it's produced from your cholesterol. So for many people, when they go on, say, testosterone replacement treatment, okay, so TRT, hormone replacement therapy, okay, or they add steroids or anything to their regime. If you are getting it externally, okay, your body will actually, the hormone will actually slow down the production of it naturally. Okay, so you will naturally, if you start taking testosterone, your body senses that and realizes, okay, I don't need to produce so much testosterone, so let's cut back on that, and your actual testosterone levels will go down because your body will stop or slow down its production. And it does exactly the same thing with D3, okay? Exactly the same thing. If you are taking it externally and you're not getting it through natural sources like fat, okay, and you're not getting any sunlight because it's to stimulate the production, okay, it's going to slow down the cholesterol production. Is going to slow down the production of D3 also, because you're taking it externally as well. Okay, so these are other contributing factors you need to consider. Okay, are you actually low in D3? Okay, because it might be that you're just storing it in your fat cells. Okay, so you need to get a bit more sunlight, and you just have to work on how you feel as well. Are you taking too much of it externally? Are you getting it from a good source? Is it a natural source? Okay, because you you want your hormones to produce all these things. Okay, you want, if you have a system in your body to produce this hormone, you want to do that naturally. You don't want to replace that with a pill. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's good too. You also get jar pickles and electrolytes from vinegar and stuff like that. That can also help. Apple cider vinegar is a good one. I've taken that before. Sometimes I'll put every now and then. Actually, I haven't done for a long time, but before carnival, I'd put apple cider vinegar in my water. Actually, that's pretty good. Yeah. I've always been in chronic pain, but I'm quite strong and independent. That's good, Sandra. I live alone, have you dog and cat. Oh, that's good. And still mowing. Oh, well done. Yeah. Excellent, Sandra. Well done. Yeah, I mean, some people can't avoid pain, unfortunately, and I hope it. I mean, I really hope it. You keep improving, though. You know. Okay. Just realised that idea. Who's your Brett? Yeah, good job. Yeah, hello, running tap. Hello. Let me see. I'm just trying to catch up some of these comments, guys. Thanks to you for your time and advice. No sunlight in years. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Anxiety is very, and especially I think your anxiety gets worse the longer you stay inside as well. I completely understand about that. I had a hard time getting outside again too. You know, when after I started moving again, I'd spent years in bed at that time, but I started walking with my wife. That was one good thing. I had my wife to take me for a walk every now and then too, so that helped a lot. But the anxiety of just going outside was, every single day. It was very stressful, actually. So I completely sympathize with that. But um, if you can, get some sunlight. Even if you open the window and sit by the window, just do it one step at a time. Do it little by little, and don't push yourself too fast too soon. Just do it to where you feel comfortable. Yeah, good on you. Yeah, Mandy, you are a warrior. Okay. You may not feel like it. I know you don't feel like it at times, but you are. Okay. And there is absolutely nothing you cannot overcome. Okay. If you just don't be too hard on yourself either. Okay. But I know you can just I know you can do it. I really do. You see, the thing is, we tend to get paranoid about what other people might be thinking of us as well. And the thing is well, they mean nothing. There's nothing around you. Like when people see us, they see a very very tiny glimpse, and honestly, what they think, it means nothing. Honestly, it's like you see, they don't see what brought us to that situation. They don't see where we're going, what we're trying to do. They don't see everything that's led us here. So that it really doesn't matter. And honestly, most people are not thinking about it either. They're not really judging any of us either. That's really just in our head. But I do understand the anxiety of leaving the home after years inside. Yeah, it's very difficult. But try and enjoy the gift of the sunlight. Even if you can just crack open a window and sit next to the window, that would be really great. Just do your little bit you can at a time. I had a sun allergy for quite a few years from exposure to hogweed. Oh wow, hives, but it's finally gone. Oh, that's great to hear, Carrie. Yeah, sun allergy from hogweed. Oh, there you go. This is one of the things too. Like I said before, like when you go through chemotherapy, you're extremely sensitive. Your skin is to the sunlight. Okay, like in 10 minutes I'd be red raw, like really red sunlight from the sun. And but it's been kind of like that my whole life. I've burned very easily because growing up on junk food and not eating enough fat and seed oils and all that sort of stuff, I'd get burned very easily. But one of the most fantastic things about being on this diet is I don't burn anymore. I've gone from one extreme to the other. I basically last week I went out and just to sunbake, I guess. I slept on the grass, just grounding. I fell asleep in the sun, and I didn't even go pink. I was out there for 2 hours, and I feel great. It's fantastic. Now I'll go for a walk to the beach, and I don't burn at all. It's incredible the difference. Even from when I was a kid, I used to burn very easily. But when I was going through chemotherapy, like I said before, I couldn't spend more than a few minutes in the sun. Even open the curtains, I'd get sunburn. But now I can spend hours out there. I can spend the whole day out there. It's fantastic. Yeah, no sunburn. Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. It really is. I don't get sunburn anymore. Yeah, that's good. It's such a cool side effect, isn't it? And again, that is because of your vitamin D hormone production is working properly. Okay, because that comes to the surface of the skin and acts as your sunscreen. All right, so you get your vitamin D sources from a natural source. It feels fantastic. Hi, Brett. I just started going back to the gym to weightlift. Good. And swim after 7 years. Very good. What would you recommend for a 54-year-old carnivore made to rebuild muscle? Higher weight, higher reps. Okay. To start with, I would start with higher reps because the first thing you want to take care of are your joints. Okay. I was talking about this before. Build the foundation before you start going to extreme. So I would say at least 6 months to even a year. Your diet's good, obviously. You're carnivore, so you should be good with that. But what you could do, because you're starting to do more activity, maybe increase your protein intake because as we get older, your dietary intake or your dietary proteins intake is more difficult to absorb into muscle protein. Okay, so you might want to start increasing just gradually. Increase your protein intake and you can monitor your blood glucose levels to make sure you're not taking in too much protein because you don't want to get fat. That would be number one. Two, I'd start with higher reps. This will give you a better workout to start with, especially, and take care of your joints. Okay, so like joint exercises, important. Okay, always warm up your joints before you start training. Maybe after that you can increase the intensity and go lower reps, but I wouldn't do anything less than 8 reps if you wanted to get big muscles. Okay, so if you want to like put on excess bulk, like a bodybuilder, for example, they will do a high intensity rep, like for hypertrophy. So you might do a max of say 8 to 10 reps and do a slow rep range, say count a 4 count rep. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going up and then down, 1, 2, 3, 4. So slow reps is also very good for your joints because you're not doing anything too fast. But 8 to 10 reps, but on the last rep should be your absolute failure, like your momentary failure. And you really only need to do say 2 warm-up sets and then just 1 intense set. Okay, so you don't need to do a lot of intensity, a lot of volume. So if some people do a breakup as well, so you might do like a full upper body, a full body, or just a lower body sort of workout as well. Depends on what your how often you have to train. So if you only have say 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or 4, say 1 hour a day, you can do a full body workout. Once you've finished warming up your full body warm up, you can go straight to an intense level of say 8 to 10 reps of maximum intensity and absolute failure on the last rep. And you only need to do that 1 set. Okay. So, but the thing about building muscle as you get older is, one, the intensity has to be there, which is usually going to be less as you get older. The protein intake has to be higher, and your diet has to be cleaner, obviously, on carnivore, so you should be right. So apart from that, you should be good. Don't overtrain. Don't do too much. You need recovery. All you need to do is damage the muscle cells and then recover for the week. Okay, that's basically all you do. It's really not that complicated, and it depends on what your goals are. Like I've always said that you should be like a sport specific. If you want to do a sport like swimming, for example, so you want to do a lot of back exercise, a lot of strength in back and shoulders, to be a better swimmer. Okay, so you want that V taper. Okay, so you can swim better. But you also want it's also a full body movement. When you're swimming, you do different strokes. You have full body movements. So you need to train the whole body as well. So like compound movements, like deadlifts, or a lot of exercise, like full body sort of exercises are probably best, I would say. And full body workouts at least, anyway. My hippo wants breakfast. Okay. I'm going to assume that's a pet. Yeah, I was just thinking the same. I'm hoping that's your pet. Not a great runner, but I think I can do HIIT training. Yeah, absolutely you can. The HIIT training you can do. Okay, you can do swimming HIIT training. Okay, so you sprint, rest. You can do running, sprinting. Okay, or you can do on a bike. Stationary bike is good too. I did one this morning and yesterday. I do at least a couple a week. So yeah, you can do it any way you can, like either running, cycling, swimming, and there's other ways you can do it as well. Okay, so burpees, like a full body burpees are good. You can, that's a good HIIT session. Okay. Oh, good. He pays your dog. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Just go like hell for 10 seconds and rest for 2 minutes. So yeah, I mean you can do that. Depending on what you want to do too. If you want to build up your fitness, you might want to shorten those rest periods. So I do like just a 10-minute session on the bike, hit session in the morning. I'll get up, I'll do so every minute on the minute, I'll do 10 to sometimes 15-second sprints. Okay. And 45 seconds rest. So every minute on the minute, and that's how I do it. So depending on how you feel, right? So when you first start, you might need 2 or even 3 minutes rest. That's fine. Okay. And try and work on bringing that rest period down as short as you can. So depending on what you're working on as well. So for muscle building, sprints are really good because you recruit as much muscle fibers as you can. Okay. So that's any exercise where you recruit as much muscle fibers as you can. Okay. Then that's going to be very beneficial for building muscle. Where your question, referring to your question before, whether you use high reps or low reps. When, for example, if you do as you do when you do high reps, okay, so if you hypertrophy wise, you want to keep it around 8 to 10 reps, or even up to 15, but to failure. But having said that, if you go to failure on 30 reps, you're still doing the same thing, okay? Because as you continue up to those 30 reps, you're still recruiting a lot more muscle fibers as you go along with a lighter weight, because that weight always gets heavier. It's like carrying around, 10 kilos for the whole day. Okay, those, it feels light at first, but by the end of the day, that 10 kilos is going to feel very heavy, right? So it's the same with a lighter weight and a lot of reps. You still recruit a lot of muscle fibers at the end of it. Okay, so it can work both ways. There you go. Another one going to the convention. Let's see. Someone researched D3 drops look clean and K2 drips comes MCT oil. Yeah, I bought these. Okay. Oh, let us know how you feel after. I mean, just judge it on how you feel. Okay. I haven't tried MCT oil. I haven't. I know it's plant based, so it's a different currency for us. So I really have my doubts about that stuff. But I have seen. I mean, I have seen benefits in people. However, I think sticking to the currency that we absorb, animal fats, I think would be more beneficial. I think, but that's just me. I mean, I'd have to give it a try and really sort of test it for myself to have anything really to say about that stuff. Honestly. That's a good one, running tap. Yeah. I help my anxiety by not giving a crap what people think. Yeah, that's a good way to have it. Good way to be. Okay, I have fixed my plantar fasciitis and sciatica because of Berg. Well, that's good. Yeah, like I know there are many people out there that a lot of people don't agree with, and that's fine. No one's going to agree with you all the time. There's always going to say something, and plenty of people disagree with me, and that's fine. But and some of these doctors, every now and then they might have a little gem of education or information that might just work. So don't be afraid to listen to someone that you may not agree with all the time. Check out the book by Dr. Georgia Ede. Yeah, that's a really good book. Change your mind. Yeah, change your diet, change your mind. Yeah, she is fantastic. Yeah, I agree, Brett. Yeah, carnivores don't get sunburned. No, clean carnivores don't. Yeah, I certainly don't. Yep. Dr. Chafee explained sunburn benefit like this. We get new skin every 90 days. When we eat carnivore, our skin is built from all the right material. Yeah. So it's naturally more resilient to the sun. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And plus, like I said, it depends on how much actual D3 is actually going through your blood as well, and how much you're actually producing. So, like, you want to do that as naturally as possible. Yeah. Fava B10 protects from sunburn, high in meat and eggs. Yeah. Hello, Dr. Nelson, Vasquez, MD. Hello. Glad you could join us. Bloody fun again. Sandra's popular. Anyway, guys, I'll try to catch up with some of these comments, but yeah, I agree. It's our personal solar panel. It needs to be clean and in the sun. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we need to have some sunlight. So anyway, I didn't really get through all the subjects we're going to talk about today, but it's been almost 2 hours, so I'll call it a day. But again, building muscle, getting moving again, it is possible. You've seen me do it, and the way to do it, I believe, is get a good mix of animal fats and get all the proteins that you need, because like after chemotherapy, and especially going through chemotherapy and afterwards, and as you get older, it does get more difficult to build muscle. But your diet is the first source you need to fix. Hormone production and excuse me. Fasting. Fasting has a lot of great benefits, either before, during, or after treatment. Okay, for cancer, but also has a lot of benefits for everything else that we do. Okay, like I said before, it does stimulate your body's production of stem cells. Okay, and that in itself, you also need for putting on muscle. Okay, so if you want to put on muscle as you get older, you want that stem cell production to be there. Now, another thing about just one more point, putting on muscle, lifting heavy, excuse me, lifting heavy also stimulates the body to produce more stem cells. Okay, so fasting is one way to stimulate the body's stem cell production, but also lifting heavy. So don't be afraid to lift as heavy as you can, as long as you know what you're doing and have the proper foundation of training first. Okay, so make sure that all your joints are healthy and strong first before you start lifting heavy. But when I say heavy, that doesn't mean that you have to lift the same as me either. That just means what's heavy for you. Okay, so what's heavy for you will still stimulate your body's stem cell production, and that again will help with your muscle building, strength training, strength building, and developing movement. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I really, really appreciate you spending the time with me today. I hope you all had a good conversation, and If you have any more questions, please just leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Brett. Take care. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.